it was only opinion. Many skeptics, when I debate them, often offer opinions, but they've never read or researched, so it's not an informed opinion. Catherine went back into past lives when I was using hypnosis, trying to go back into her childhood. I told her one day, go back to where your symptoms first began. I thought she would go to childhood, but her subconscious mind, taking that question literally, went back about 4,000 years into an ancient Near Eastern lifetime. I thought this was imagination or fantasy, but immediately her symptoms started to clear up. She knew facts and details that she had no knowledge of consciously, and this was very strange to me, because I knew that imagination could not heal a person the way she was healing without any medication. Okay. And so I started this with another patient and another and another, and now 3,500 patients later I have a great deal of information about this field. And beyond reincarnation, some of my patients are able to get messages from the other dimensions, from perhaps a mother or grandmother who had died, and they get information back, not just general information, but sometimes very specific, like where the jewelry is hidden, where a will might be buried or hidden, the combination to a safe. Very specific information coming to them in a dream or from the other side when they're in a relaxed state. So now I study consciousness, I study souls, I study life, I study death, and reincarnation is just a piece of that for me now. But Catherine, that was my door. She was my opening into this entire other world.
¿Y logró que ella pueda contar estas historias a través de la hipnosis?
Yes, it's important to understand also, I think, what hypnosis is and what it's not, because we've seen in the movies.
Es lo que conocemos a través del estudio de Freud.
Freud used hypnosis. Freud used hypnosis, and for several years. Mine is a little bit different, because I'm using it, but eliciting a lot of information from the patient while they're under hypnosis. Hypnosis is not sleep. Hypnosis is a state of focused, relaxed concentration. We're all hypnotized every day. When you're reading a book and you don't hear traffic noises or other noises, that is hypnosis. It's concentration. So it's not mysterious, it's not strange, you never lose control.
¿Utiliza usted algún tipo de alucinógenos, algún tipo de estimulantes para que el paciente pueda trasladarse? No.
No, that's solo mi voz. Solo mi voz. I do it that way. They relax. In the relaxed state, memories are enhanced. The memory is better. And I don't use anything artificial. No chemicals, no drugs, nothing. Don't hit them over the head. I just speak and talk them into the very relaxed state, concentrated state. It's entirely normal, this state. There's no danger, you can never get stuck, you never give up control, but the memory is enhanced. People who meditate, it's very similar. They go within, they quiet their mind, and that's like hypnosis.
¿Se puede hablar de psicología espiritual?
We must have a psychic connection. Because just like when we talked about the same soul sitting here. And I think it is somewhat an illusion to think that people are so separate. I call my work spiritual psychotherapy, almost the same word. And I think it is, because it's therapy beyond life and death. It's therapy that incorporates spiritual matters, such as consciousness, out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences. It's therapy that incorporates the importance of love and letting go of fears. It's scientific, but it's also spiritual and also intuitive. And it really works. It's very effective.
Yo digo, algunos deben preguntarse, cada uno tiene su vida, su historia, sus relaciones. Y habitualmente la gente que va a consultorios y a consultas quiere resolver el hoy. salud, dinero, amor, felicidad o lo que puede. Pero usted le cuenta cosas de vidas anteriores. Y alguien le puede decir, bueno, pero yo necesito solucionar mi problema hoy, mi angustia, mi ansiedad, mi inconsciente. ¿Usted qué le contesta?
Sí, sí. There's a direct connection. Many problems today, symptoms, come from past lifetimes. I may see a person with a fear of water or a fear of small places, claustrophobia. And these are actual cases. For example, a person who died of suffocation or in a small place in a past life, now with claustrophobia. So phobias, anxieties, depression, psychosomatic disorders, and some physical disorders as well, are very responsive. They heal when the person remembers the causes in the past life. So there's a very direct effect on being happier and getting rid of symptoms in this life. I would like to add there's a further benefit, and that is when you find that you've died in a past life, and it's not painful, it doesn't hurt to remember this, you realize that you are immortal, you are eternal. We don't have to fear death so much in this life. And so people change beyond getting rid of symptoms. Their values change. They know that when we die, we do not take our houses with us or our bank accounts or our cars. We take our deeds. How did we act? What did we learn? So they lose their fear of death. Their values become better. And they're getting rid of symptoms also. So I think there's a very direct benefit on this life. Otherwise, I don't think I'd be looking at it quite so carefully as a doctor.
Cuando nos reencontremos, vamos a preguntarle al doctor Weiss si hay tiempos y recuerdos que vienen del útero y recuerdos que vienen de la muerte. Ya nos vemos. Aquí estamos con el doctor Weiss. Quería preguntarle, decía yo cuando nos estábamos despidiendo del bloque anterior, si hay recuerdos cuando estábamos en el vientre de madre y si tenemos algunos recuerdos de nuestro propio funeral. ¿Sí?
Yes, both, all the time.
Todo el tiempo.
Yes, I found many times people remembering memories from 1 day old, from birth, and from in utero state. Many cases. Sometimes people describe conversations that their mother and father had. It's the same concept as consciousness, awareness, existing outside of the body. It's also very frequent for the fetus, the baby in the utero. They frequently feel the feelings of their mothers, how she feels, anxiety, joy, fear, happiness. So I think it's important for mothers and for fathers to let the baby know, welcome, you're coming into a loving situation.
Claro.
The baby is aware of this. People frequently have described to me their funerals. By the way, with babies, we often get validation from their parents that the memories are correct. This happens a lot. The parent says, yes, that did happen. We lived in this apartment, but we moved before the birth. And the person described the whole apartment during the regression, remembering the in utero state. People do seem to float above their bodies at death, look at the scene. They may attend their funerals. They may hear the eulogies. So people have to be careful of what they say.
Digo, cuando uno muere, ¿uno está entre dos vidas? ¿Hay un vacío o una línea entre dos vidas cuando este cuerpo físico se termina?
We are between lives because we are not our physical bodies. We are the spirit, the consciousness. We float out, we leave it, we learn on the other side, and then if we need to come back, we come back into a baby's body. The issue of time is complicated. Here on this earth, we feel physicality, we think of time as linear, flowing from past to present to future. But it's really more complicated, as Einstein and other physicists have proven. So there probably is no time on the other side, only here.
Uno no puede comprender ese tiempo y espacio que decía Einstein, no. En esta teoría.
It's a very difficult concept for us. It seems to go against common sense. But already physicists have discovered particles that travel faster than the speed of light. And they find out that the particles go backwards in time. And it's amazing. It's as if, wow, our world is upside down. But yet we function at two levels. For example, Horacio, as I talk with you here, I sit in this chair and I trust the chair to support my weight. But the scientist in me knows that this chair is made of atoms and molecules and energy. And probably a physicist could build a bomb or something, or produce enough energy to provide the world with light and heat and electricity if they could harness the energy of all the atoms in this chair. So the chair is solid, and yet it's not, it's energy. And that's like us. We exist in many different dimensions at the same time. And here's the exciting part of this work. We're not just here. We're on the other side already. You don't have to die to get there.
Bueno, uno puede valorar los otros lados a partir del pensamiento. Si estamos aquí y cualquiera de los dos cierra los ojos, usted puede estar pensando en su casa, que está muy lejos de aquí, y yo puedo imaginar su casa, aunque no lo conozco. Y los dos estamos viajando a un punto. Yo no lo conozco y usted el reconocimiento. Digo, en este mundo, ¿solo hay almas? ¿O las almas solo viven en este mundo? ¿O hay otros mundos muy parecidos o diferentes?
I think there are many worlds. There are many dimensions. Muchos mundos, muchas dimensiones. Pero aquí, this is just one world. Souls live in many worlds. I think this question also brings up a point that skeptics often bring up. That you brought up through your question, which is a very good question, and that is, how do the numbers fit? If reincarnation is real, and there are more physical bodies here than ever before on the planet, where do the souls come from? Well, the answer is what we just talked about. There are souls in many dimensions. Many more souls than there are just in this one planet, this one world.
Hay más almas que cuerpos.
More souls than bodies. Verdad, siempre. More souls than bodies. And so this is just one of many places where there are souls. There are souls in all the dimensions, in all of the universes. We're just the tiniest piece of it. But I think that souls are the same everywhere. Bodies may be different.
Yo digo, ¿y quién elige que el alma encuentre su cuerpo? O que encuentre un cuerpo. ¿Quién lo decide eso? El alma, ¿cómo coincide entre alma y cuerpo?
I believe, and again through my research, that these decisions are made before we were born. There is a kind of committee of spiritual beings or masters, or whatever name we want to put on, angels, guides, God, higher power, but it seems to be like a committee of wise beings. And us, our soul, is part of this. And then we plan the life. What kind of lessons we're going to learn. We choose our parents, the situations into which we are born, because it improves the opportunities for learning here. We have a lesson plan. I also think that some cases of déjà vu, that feeling of familiarity, as if you've been in a place before, comes from this planning.
Okay.
When you look over your life before you're born and you say, aha, I'm going to be here and do this and that, and when we encounter those points, that's a kind of déjà vu feeling. I also believe that we have free will. So we meet our destiny points, but our reactions to these things, to the people we meet, to our experiences, that's the free will part.
Da la sensación como si fuera un ADN espiritual.
Yes, exactly right. we have two lines of evolution here. The physical, the bodies, and we've been evolving as Darwin and others have described, and the spiritual. Our souls don't evolve in the same way, but they meet in the body, and we have these two lines of evolution. Not everything is karma. You may have to be in a body to certain parents because that's your lesson plan, but maybe you've inherited diabetes or something because of that. That's not karma. It's just, okay, that's the body that you will have in this life.
Estaba pensando, usted habla de seres espirituales, ángeles, maestros, dioses. Cada uno de nosotros lleva el ADN de padres biológicos, papá, mamá, abuelo, abuela. ¿Quién conformará nuestro ADN espiritual? ¿Quién será el Padre Creador? ¿Y con quién conjugará para nosotros sobrellevar esa herencia espiritual, ¿no?
The concept that we seem to use, and that I find in my work all the time, is God. There's God as a wisdom, an intelligence, an energy, a love that's so much more profound and so much deeper than we can put into words. We can't, with our brains, understand how everything works here. We can describe certain phenomena. We can describe, yes, we choose our bodies, we learn this, but why this was started, why we came here at all, why do souls have to go through this kind of evolution, this, nobody knows this. But we do know that we are here in this school, and we're supposed to learn lessons of love, compassion, etc. So when we attribute human qualities to God, we limit ourselves and we limit God. And this is because of our minds. We don't know how much beyond human comprehension God can be. So sometimes a person will come to me, for example, and say, well, I really want to pray to God for this or for that, but I feel that other people have more needs or more important needs, and I don't want to interfere with God if they need God more. And I say to them, God doesn't have ears. Human beings have ears. Perhaps God can listen to every soul in all of the universes all at the same time and have room left over for whatever else God needs to do. We always limit God because we attribute human qualities to God. And that's something that has got...
Cualidades humanas, que está muy bien.
Sí, exactamente.
Está muy bien.
Also, I think there can only be one God. There's not a God for one people or one religion or one country or one race. It flies against reason. God has created everything.
Bueno, pero alguien puede preguntarle si hay un solo Dios, no para unos ni para otros, no para pobres ni para ricos, no para olvidados o recordados. Alguien puede decir, entonces, ¿por qué hay pobres y ricos? ¿Por qué hay olvidados y recordados? ¿Por qué hay millones de hombres, mujeres y niños en una frontera esperando que alguien desde el cielo le dé de comer, y en cambio alguien, a mí a lo mejor a esta hora, terminó su sándwich? Entonces, ¿por qué hay un chiquito que nace con felicidad y a la misma hora hay un chiquito que se muere? ¿Cuál sería la explicación entonces?
Excellent question. I've thought about this a lot. And I work with, in my work with the patients in deeper levels, in my own meditation, I realize that we're blaming God for things that people have done. Again, I don't know why God, yes, has created this world
que
at
hacen
all.
Los hombres, naturalmente.
But God didn't create hunger. God didn't create violence. People do these things.
Claro.
We have enough food on this planet
Coincido plenamente.
to make this a paradise.
Coincido plenamente.
Sí, so,
en el planeta,
sí.
Aquellos que tienen la profunda fe, Dios o esa energía superior dotó a esa tierra para que nadie pase hambre, pero el hombre en su egoísmo no la distribuye.
Sí, exactamente. It's humans who create the problems here, not God. So I think there's a saying.
Los hombres, además, con ese plagio, con esa intención y esa ambición de ser Dios, en vez de distribuir el amor, distribuye el egoísmo. Entonces mi hermano no es más mi hermano, es mi enemigo.
Sí. And we have to learn not to do that, because we're making this planet a difficult place to live. We create our own problems here. Pollution, greed, egos, violence. This is not God, though. So I don't think, well, I should say there's a beautiful saying that God allows the sun to shine on the prisons as well as the churches, and the rain falls on the flowers and the weeds. God doesn't discriminate. The sun is for everybody. The rain is for everybody. Food is for everybody. Love is for everybody. It's us, the people. We have messed things up here. But we can fix it. We can fix it if we have the intention to love each other more.
Borges, un escritor argentino, había en alguno de sus cuentos, habría imaginado un hombre que se preguntaba si él era el sueño de alguien que otro soñaba, y así sucesivamente. ¿Cuánto tendrá que ver el sueño con esto de las vidas pasadas y el reencuentro con nuestras vidas pasadas a partir del sueño?
Many people do remember their past lives in their dreams. Because sometimes when you dream of yourself in an older time, a different place, it's not just a Freudian distortion or a metaphor. Sometimes it's actually a past life memory that's emerging into the dream. It's a very good question that Borges asks, because it's like this chair. Is it solid or is it energy? We exist in so many different dimensions at the same time that it could be that this is the most dreamlike. Another way that I would say it is that this is not really our home, Earth. This is strange for us. Our home is on the other side. That's the reality. And sometimes when you dream, you visit there. People actually visit there. But this seems so real to us. This illusion is so strong because our body feels so solid and real. But it's not really our essence. Our essence is the soul.
Cuando nosotros soñamos, nos desprendemos del cuerpo físico e iniciamos un viaje con el alma.
I think sometimes this does happen, yes. The part that separates I'm very interested in, because this is again the soul, the consciousness. And sometimes people come back from these kinds of traveling dreams with information that they had to travel to some place to know, like a physical description of a particular city or building or something like that, or a house, or a conversation. And so, but not all dreams are like that. I should say, though, as the doctor in me, I don't want the viewers to become alarmed. This is completely safe. Nothing bad can happen to you. You always come back to your body. There's nothing to worry about.
Le quiero preguntar, ¿por qué cuando alguien habla de vidas pasadas, siempre eligen personajes clásicos de la historia? Mujeres que quieren ser Cleopatra, o dicen varones que fueron Napoleón o Washington. ¿Por qué buscan o tipifican con personalidades de la historia? En vez de decir, bueno, fui a lo mejor un labrador en las montañas.
Almost all the time in my work, I find mundane, ordinary lifetimes. I don't find famous people. There are two factors. One is the metaphor. Take Napoleon, as you mentioned. Perhaps someone needs power, and so it's not really a past life, but a metaphor that comes to them of power.
Necesita poder.
Necesito. Pero there's another point, and that's the distortion. For example, a patient I had, he thought he was Napoleon in his past life. And I very, very rarely find famous people. But when we went into the regression in detail, even more detail, we found that he was a corporal in Napoleon's army. He was there, but a corporal.
Corporal.
Not a lieutenant, not a captain, not a general, not Napoleon, just a soldier. But in his mind, because he could see that, if there was some distortion, and he switched, and he thought he was Napoleon. No, just a soldier. And that's...
Hay una película de Woody Allen, que es Un día en la vida de Boris Grushenko, que él también quiso ser, pero un simple soldado.
Sí. And Woody Allen said one time, he said, I don't believe in an afterlife, but I am bringing a change in underwear. He's not taking any chances.
Es muy bueno. ¿Qué cosa los escépticos? ¿Qué le ocurre cuando frente a usted tiene un escéptico?
Sure. I enjoy talking with skeptical people. I was completely skeptical myself before I began my work.
Escéptico.
If it's a good skeptic, that's even better. Once I debated Carl Sagan, the astronomer, a very intelligent man.
La cabeza.
Sí. And he forgot what skeptic really means in the Greek sense. Skeptic means someone who knows the subject matter. They have read it, studied it, but they offer alternate explanations for the phenomena, for the events.
Okay.
Perhaps it's this, perhaps it's that. Plato believed in past lives, but Aristotle didn't.
Sí.
And so they had
Así es.
debates. That's a good skeptic. But Carl Sagan, in our debate, he didn't read my books, any of them. He didn't prepare. He didn't read other books. He didn't try to have a regression himself. So he came, but totally unprepared. He thought he would just intellectually challenge me.
Oponerse, resistir frente a la negativa permanente.
Sí. And I started to tell him about the data I've collected, the research that's been going on, and he was shocked. And then I asked him, Carl, how are your patients doing? Because this is a very effective therapy. And he answered me, well, I'm an astronomer, I don't have any patients. And I said to him, I know that. That's why you shouldn't be sitting here debating me. And to his credit, he apologized. He said, I'm not prepared. I really didn't think it would be this serious. And I apologize. I shouldn't be here debating you.
¿Y qué le pasa con sus pares, con otros psiquiatras cuando debaten estos temas? ¿Por dónde coinciden y por dónde pasa la diferencia? Aquellos que hacen un psicoanálisis tradicional y hacen un viaje por el inconsciente.
I've been doing this work for 21 years now, and it's been getting better each year. More and more people know. To a psychoanalyst, I say, you don't have to believe it, because anything that comes into the mind is important. I'm just expanding the arena of psychoanalysis. Instead of stopping at early childhood, we go back even further. And then we talk about these very unusual experiences that I've seen in my patients over the years. People speaking foreign languages that they've never learned. Xenoglossia, this is called. People reading concentration camp numbers from their arms. In a past life, they may only be 30 or 40 years old now. They read the numbers. They're also describing stores and families and names and towns in Europe. And when they go to check it out, or I do, or I have a researcher in Sweden actually who checks these things out for me and for himself, we find that these are accurate memories. These people, with corresponding to the numbers, they did exist and they died in the Holocaust. So when I point this out to psychiatrists and others, we get into very interesting discussions if they're intelligent, if they don't have a closed mind. Because Carl Jung believed in reincarnation.
Claro.
Carl Jung talked about the collective unconscious, a knowledge of all things. And so the roots of this work in psychiatry actually run very deep, all the way back to Jung. And he and Freud discussed these concepts.
Cuando se habla sociológicamente de masas, se habla del inconsciente colectivo. Un partido de fútbol, manifestaciones políticas, pero no se habla de la espiritualidad colectiva. Uno puede decir, bueno, una mañana frente a la plaza de San Pedro, una invocación, hay una energía importante. Río Ganges, energía importante. Pero sin el ropaje de la religión, ¿el hombre puede tener una comunión espiritual?
I have two thoughts to this wonderful question. One is, there's a difference between religion and spirituality.
Está bien.
Sometimes religions focus so much on the rituals and these kinds of things, but they forget the bigger picture, the higher meaning.
Sí, sí, claro.
It's more important, for example, to be loving and nonviolent than it is to do a certain ritual, whatever the religion is. The actions are more important than this little thing. But if the rituals help a person reach a deeper level, if they help him to go into a state of spirituality, then the rituals are very useful and important. But sometimes also you see, even outside of religions, a kind of spirituality or consciousness advancing. Even today, before we started this interview, I was watching the BBC, because so much is happening in the world today, and it's just incredible how many things are going on. And I see that the Irish Republican Army they're turning in their weapons.
Sí, se está desarmando.
It's like a spiritual consciousness has been reached where they're saying terrorism is not the way. We want to end this.
Naturalmente.
And of course I hope that this lasts. But I am not just amazed, but I am so happy. It's as if an entire, and this is a large group of people,
Naturalmente.
has reached a higher level of consciousness. And if this kind of development continues, where we can end violence, or in as much as we can, where we can end terrorism as much as we can, then we can really change the world and focus on the real issues: poverty, education, healthcare, and making these available to every human being on the planet. Food, housing. Then I think, as a collective consciousness, we will reach a higher level, perhaps, than we have ever attained here in this planet.
Ha sido un placer dialogar con usted, Weiss. Ha sido un placer dialogar con usted.
También para mí.
Muchas gracias. Sabemos que usted está regresando a la Argentina en los próximos meses. Creo que seguramente sea la ciudad de Mar del Plata, que es una ciudad atlántica para nuestros amigos de Latinoamérica, y será también tan bienvenido como en estos días. Buena vida para usted.
Muchas gracias.
Nos estamos viendo.